Maybe the case that not everybody knows that the title Patrick Moore 80 Not Out is a reference to cricket, one of your other passions. Do you get around to watching much cricket these days?
When I get the chance. Actually, I wrote that book originally when I was 80, which is 6 years ago.
6 years ago, yes.
I watch cricket when I can. I mean, up to only about 7 or 8 years ago, I was still playing.
Oh, I see.
My cricket bats over there.
Oh, it is, yes.
I was not a batsman, I was a leg break bowler.
Yeah. Today is the final in the current series of Ashes.
Yes, indeed.
Are you going to be watching that?
Well, I have time. I have a Sky at Night meeting later on today, so I may not have time, but I would like to see it.
Okay. How do you think England are going to fare?
I'd like to say I hope England will win, but frankly, I don't think we will. I think Australia are a bit too strong. I may be wrong, I hope so.
Well, Flintoff is still likely to join
He's
in.
still there, his last match.
That's right,
I
yeah.
hope he comes off.
And it would be a tremendous conclusion to his
It would
match
indeed.
as well. Yes. Just on cricket, you've seen the introduction of 2020 matches and the Indian Premier League, all that new money coming into cricket. How do you feel about that?
I don't like limited over cricket because I'm a bowler. I don't like limited overs. I mean, I don't much like one-day internationals. I don't like 2020. No, I'm sorry, I prefer the old-fashioned test cricket and county matches.
Oh, it's certainly something I agree with you on that. It's already happened to football, and let's look at how that's turned out. One of the things you're famous for is your terrific sense of humour. You've got, over the years, you've pulled many pranks. Thinking of um, the alignment of some planets and then asking everybody on the radio to jump
yes.
up and down to see what the
I
weightlessness.
put my foot in the badly once. You remember there was a total eclipse in 1999
Yes.
with them all from the West Country.
Uh-huh.
And I went on the local radio down there and said that a strike was taken. The eclipse was now postponed for 1 month. And the county council went bananas. That took a lot of living down.
And you also joined the Flat Earth Society.
I did. I went to one of their meetings. I did have a false beard on.
And I know that you were ill during your early days, between 6 and 16 or thereabouts. Now that's a time when a lot of the young boys are playful and pull pranks. Are you making up for lost time?
I think I am. You see, the point is, between 5 and 15, I was ill with a heart thing. That went public school for me. And then, of course, I emerged from that, was able to get around. Then the war came.
Mm.
Therefore, I trucked Cambridge. I have a Cambridge place ready, and flew with the RAF.
As a navigator, one of the things, you've been on television on many different programs. One of the occasions on the program called Room 101,
Yes.
you were having a playful go at female presenters on the radio.
Yeah.
Do you still keep in touch with Heather Cooper?
Haven't seen Helen for a long time now. She's a qualified astronomer.
Yes, yes. But that women on radio as presenters,
There are too many of them.
there's too many of them. You must have
But
had...
the point is, originally, radio and television was male-dominated. That was bad.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's female-dominated. That's bad. It should be an equal mix. It's not.
I see you're wearing your famous monocle.
It's a distance thing.
Right.
I put that in my two eyes are equal.
Uh-huh.
I'm okay with that, but it does make a difference. It's not merely a display. It's very a genuine monocle, and it's useful.
Despite all the other difficulties you're having, are you able to observe with your eyesight's not too bad, really?
My eyes are very good.
Yeah.
But sadly, I can't get into my dome now. It's an old wartime spine injury, and that affects me. You know, my eyesight is very good for that, and I can read without glasses. Just like that, if I put that in, just sharpens that one up very slightly, but it's marginal.
But not being able to observe, that must be one of the difficult things to get
Yes,
used
and
to.
I can't play the piano either, or help, or play the life. Which this spine thing really wrecked a lot of my life. But, I had a long run, so I can't really complain.
And that long run, you've included many careers in one. You're a presenter, you're a musician, an author and an astronomer. How do you regard yourself? Do you have one particular vocation in mind that you...
How to describe myself? I think I'm probably going to say either an astronomer or a writer. Because when I was very young, I made up my mind the one thing I wanted to do was to write. Because I have. And I made a career out of that. But my education was completely knocked up. So we prep school, Eton, Cambridge. I never made any of them. So I missed out on a lot.
You've written about 70 books.
I know. Mainly astronomical. At the moment I'm very busy revising my big data book, and that's taking a hell of a time.
And what is that, the big data book?
That was a big data book of astronomy. It was a big yellow book up there. It's compendium of facts, and many observers do have it as quick reference, but it wants updating, and I'm doing that now. It'll take me another few months yet.
Right. And do you have any other projects in writing?
I wrote a book about May.
You write amply about how close you were to your mother. She was a trained opera singer and an artist. Do you have any artistic talent? Do you
Absolutely
paint?
none. I had the music, I had the art. I got the music, not the art. If I had one spark of ability in the art, I'd try and develop it. But I am so hopeless at no point.
Well, your mother published Mrs. Moore in Space at the age of 87, and you're only 86.
She was good. I was very close to her because I didn't marry because my girl was killed in the war. And therefore I didn't marry. I knew, and at 19, I knew that I wouldn't marry for that reason. And I was devoted to my mother, she was to me, so why split up?
Yeah.
We didn't.
Yeah. It's a wonderful... She lived here with you for a long time.
She died when she was 90.
Sky at Night. You are, for 52 years, probably a bit of a record. I think you are in the Guinness Book of Records.
That is the record. It's the longest running burger of its kind anywhere in the world. A record that won't be beaten for a long time, if at all.
That's right, especially given the nature of the media these days.
I know.
What position you were in 57 just won't happen again.
I know.
So there won't be any more Patrick Moores in the future in that sense. Why is the Sky at Night so successful?
Because astronomy is something anyone can take an interest in. It's the one science where the amateur and professional work together. The Sky at Night is the cheapest thing on the air minute for minute. It goes on the air late. It gets in nobody's way. It's not controversial. And therefore it's nobody's anyway. We haven't ruled it for about 1 million at a time, so that's why it stays on the air.
And there's many generations. I remember as a youngster watching. It seems to have the same appeal no matter what age.
It does. I mean, astronomy does appeal to everybody. That's why the Sky at Night has gone on for so long.
And of course, the space exploration over the last decade or two has been in the headlines. Yesterday, there was a news story about Comet Will 2, I think it was. Wild 2.
Wild.
And that's the Stardust program.
Yeah.
And they were
They found the building blocks of life. So there was a theory by Svante Arrhenius many years ago that life didn't begin here, it was brought here by a comet. Well, that's called the panspermia theory, and I must admit I'm very dubious about it. Also.
Yeah.
These molecules must be everywhere. We don't know how life began.
But over the years, panspermia has been around for a couple of decades. I think Fred Hoyle and Vikramasinghe published that many years ago. Do you think that the evidence is more in favour of that now?
If life had to begin somewhere, and I find it more credible that it began on a world like the Earth than inside a flimsy thing such as the comet. But of course we don't know, and we have no idea really how life began. One thing is interesting, is it widespread? The clue there may be Mars. I mean, there are no Martians, we know that. No little green members.
Yeah.
If we find any trace of life on Mars and can prove it is Martian, to show that life will appear where it can. After all, in our galaxy there are 100,000 million stars. We know of 1,000 million galaxies. Therefore there are many, many planets like the Earth where life could exist. All we know is this, if life could appear, will it? Well, Mars may be the key there.
We'll just have to wait and see on that.
Yeah.
2 years after Sky at Night started, you were able to get some pictures of the far side of the moon.
Far side, yes.
Now, as a lunar observer, that's been most of your astronomical work in the early days.
Well, it was. I was mapping the moon's edge as seen from the Earth. We call the libration zone. I think those shots I were used at that stage because they're totally obsolete now.
I wouldn't say that. It's
Oh, yes.
part of our cultural history, but I know what you mean.
It's quite obsolete now.
But it was a Luna 3 Russian spacecraft, and you managed to get hold of the first pictures from Luna 3 in the whole of the country, pretty much partially because Sky at Night happened to be.
Well, they had used my charts. They said they'd send them over as soon as they got them.
Right.
And it so happened they came through when I was actually on the air live. That was sheer luck, of course.
And it must have been quite satisfying for you
Well,
to see.
I said to the audience, we're now going to get the first pictures from the other side of the moon. We don't know what's there, we'll know in a minute or two. And round they came. They were, by modern standards, very indistinct and blurred, but enough to show that the far side, like the side we know, was cratered and hilly. And by sheer luck again, I recognised one of the features I knew under reverse writing. The Maya Classic.
Over the years, you've met many people. Probably you met the key figures in science, space and astronomy of the 20th century. Bart Bok, Harlow Shapley, Orville Wright, Albert Einstein, Werner von Braun, Yuri Gagarin, Neil Armstrong. I'm sure there's a heck of a lot more. Were you disappointed with any, were you surprised with any, when you met any of them?
No. I think in all cases they were what I expected. I mean, Einstein is exactly what I expected him to be. Charming, a world, out of this world altogether, and a most charming man. That's what I thought. Orville Wright, the first airman, he was very quiet and reserved, but he was there.
I mean, that's a 20th century. It's a fantastic century for achievement in this field.
It was indeed.
And was there anybody that you wanted to meet but never got to?
I would like to meet Korolev, the Russian space genius, chief designer.
Oh, of course, yes.
Meet him. I would like to meet him. Yes, certainly I would.
And then he died suddenly, didn't he?
He died of operation, yes.
And over the years, you've encouraged amateur astronomers. And these days...
I've tried. Well, I'm an amateur, don't forget.
Well, your contribution has been quite superior, certainly in the early days.
I am an amateur.
You do regard yourself as an amateur astronomer. Ah. Over particularly the last 4 or 5 years, there's many amateur astronomers here at Farthings for the Sky at Night programme. Is that a deliberate part on your part, a deliberate action on your part to get amateur...
Amateurs and professionals, they've all been on the Sky at Night one stage or another.
Yes.
Of course, one thing I can't do now with this spine thing, I can't go around and Chris Lintock does all of that for me now.
Yes.
And I brought him into the Sky at Night, I think he was quite young.
Yeah.
And he's gradually taking on, which is exactly how I planned it.
Oh, well done.
I met him when he was 11. I thought he was
No. 11?
I went to Torquay Boys School to give a lecture, and an 11-year-old boy came and started talking to him.
Yes.
He's a rather exceptional boy. That was right. He made a great reputation now as an astronomer as well as a presenter.
Yes, and he's a professional astronomer now as an astrophysicist.
Go right to the top.
Yeah. You were you were the president of the British Astronomical Association. You've set up the Society for Popular Astronomy. So the amateur astronomy community is something you have a direct interest in.
Very much so. Because I joined the British Astronomical Association when I was 11, and I think that was a record at the time.
Yes.
And exactly 6 years later, I was president.
Your engagement with the public and amateur astronomy community, you get lots of letters, and yet still, especially those associated with astronomy, you address them personally. You respond to each one.
Yeah.
That takes up a lot of time.
Over there you can see an ancient typewriter. Well, until very recently, everything was done on that.
That's the Woodstock, the famous Woodstock.
Yes. Now, sadly, with my hands of getting solved, I have to use that risky computer, which I use. On that ancient typewriter, my two middle fingers,
Right.
I typed accurately at 90 words a minute.
Wow.
And nothing like so fast on this thing, because on that I make mistakes.
But you still take time, because you think it's an important thing that you do.
I was thinking only courteous.
Yes. Yes, you were saying that you never married, and I'm looking at the picture just over your shoulder there, in the army uniform, a dashing, handsome figure.
RAF, yes.
The kid.
Yes, the kid.
Yeah.
I always called the kids, and all my pals called me there.
And given the exposure you had on TV, you must have had a lot of offers of marriage in the correspondence. No? But you never married. You're really quite a romantic at heart.
Well,
really.
my girl was the only one for me, and when she wasn't there, and it was nobody else, so accept it.
Right. So really, you're still in the midst of a 60-year-old love story then.
Yes.
Yeah. There aren't many people like you
true.
around.
Well, I knew from the word go that that was it. Sadly. There we were.
Wonderful. You've studied the moon extensively. You've even discovered the Mare Orientale.
I thought I had.
Uh-huh.
Then I found a very old German map, and it showed it.
Oh.
So, in fact, I didn't discover it. I rediscovered it. I was not the discoverer. I thought I was,
Right.
but I wasn't.
Oh, where did you discover this old German map? Was that recently?
2 or 3 years ago, I came across it. Yeah.
Ah, I see. And
There it was.
it's already there. Huh. Recently, we commemorated the 40th anniversary of Neil and Buzz landing on the moon in Apollo 11.
Yes.
How disappointed are you with the lack of progress since then?
It's for two reasons for that, I think, like a man-fight progress. One is that the Americans put all their cosmic eggs into one basket, the shuttle. And the shuttle cost more than expected, had fundamental flaws in it, 2 tragic accidents, one trouble. Secondly, the Russian collaboration was very important, and when the USSR collapsed, the money was no longer available. And I think the great progress in unmanned space research, but manned research is hanging back. I think we will go back to the moon. I'm not sure when. They're saying 2020. I could be surprised if it's as early as that. I won't see it anyway, you will.
Oh, I don't know. I hope so, and I hope that you will too. It's one of the key things that's changed over the years is that the technology between design and launch is very short these days, and given the modern development techniques and manufacturing techniques, it can happen much quicker today.
It was right, I think, to call the Apollo program off when they did, because there was no provision for rescue. And sooner or later, something would have gone wrong on the moon. Well, of course it didn't, luckily, and we had that one risk of Apollo 13, that was in space, but on the moon there were no problems, and had that been so, it would have been too ghastly to contemplate.
And the focus has been in space probes rather than manned space exploration. We in the UK haven't really been doing that much in space.
No,
I suppose you were disappointed by that, really.
Yeah, of course I'm sorry about that. I wish we'd done more. We have done a lot, mind you. Our technology is used everywhere. And they point out building our own launching grounds, the Russians and the Americans would do that. And now, of course, the Chinese and the Japanese have joined in.
And there is some prospect of a space probe to the moon, which the UK will have a substantial contribution in. So,
if we're going to go back to the moon, it's got to be together, I think. I mean, the days of an American mission or British mission or Russian mission, they're all over. It's got to be done together. If we can't do it together, we can't do it at all. And of course that depends upon world peace and upon world leaders. I must say, looking around the present collection of world leaders inspires me with a feeling of no confidence at all. But I'm wrong.
Well, I know what you mean. Back to the Sky at Night. What's your vision? How will Sky at Night be evolving in the years to come?
I think it'll go on in much the same form as it is now, as long as it's wanted. People do like it, have a million at a time, it works, and who says if it works, don't interfere with it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yes. One of the things you got your knighthood for as well, Sir Patrick, was for the contribution to the public understanding of science and astronomy. Over the 50 years of Sky at Night, even today, you have so many people who are interested in UFOs, astrology, pseudoscience, superstition. And this is a time when our society is increasingly more dependent on science and technology. Do you think science has the right place in society now?
I rather we live in the world of science. We're broadcasting now. That's science, isn't it?
It is, yes. And yet there's so many people who will just ignore it or set it to one side in favour of...
I don't think they can. You can't ignore science. You turn up. If you want to read light, turn up your electric light, don't you?
Yeah.
You can't ignore science now.
That's right. But and in fact, in your time as the director of the planetarium in Armagh, you came across this science, the problem of religion, which perhaps it was...
That was in Ireland.
That was in Ireland. But in the world, if you look globally, religion still has a very large presence, given that science...
Not always a good one either.
Yes. It's something which I was hoping that programs like Sky Night and many others would have done something towards developing a greater interest in
I really
science.
hope so. It hasn't happened yet. I hope one day it will. I hope there really will one day be a united Earth.
Yes.
It's not here yet.
In your biography that you wrote 6 years ago, that was 6 years ago. If you were to write it today, what would be different?
Well, I have updated it.
Ah.
There's a second one was perhaps more the author biography, but I really just put it a bit up to date. Nothing really. I wrote it because I have met so many interesting people. I thought that was worth writing down, which I did.
Right. You're only 86. Using another cricketing analogy, it'd be great to see you doing a century on Sky Night.
That certainly won't happen.
But you, well, who knows? But you must think about your future. And in fact, in your biography, you do talk about you planned your funeral. You recorded a tape with your.
I'm waiting for my funeral because when I die, they can use my bits and throw the rest away.
Well, you have recorded a tape.
I just got down money in my will for a party when I've gone. It won't be a sad party occasion at all.
That's right.
And plenty to drink. I left a tape and a candle, and they'll light the candle, they'll play the tape, and at the over, I'll blow that candle out. I'll do that if it kills me.
That was the sense of humour I was referring to. But as a man of science, all the scientific training and experience you've had, do you ever think about what will happen to you when you die?
Ask me in 10 years and I'll tell you.
Okay. You're a writer. I don't know if you like epitaphs, but Spike Milligan, he's famous for his...
Oh, yes.
See, I told you I was ill. And there's another...
The best will was Lord Palmerston.
Uh-huh.
Die, my dear doctor? That's the last thing I'll do. It was.
And Frank Sinatra was the best is yet to come. And there's somebody else who's anonymous. Here lies an atheist, all dressed up and no place to go. What would you like yours to be?
Well, you try building on a new wicket.
Oh, right. Now, what do you consider your legacy to be?
If I've done anything, it's been to encourage other people to take an interest in in astronomy, particularly young people. I hope I've done that. That's what I've tried to do. Whether I succeeded or not must be left to others to judge. But that's what I've tried to do.
Well, you know, I think there's thousands, perhaps millions around the world who have been guided not only to understand the world of science, but also simply enjoy the sheer beauty of the night sky. And I think I'm one of those. So, from me, a very personal, simple but sincere thank you.
I hope.